Hi everyone, welcome to my April plan with me. So a few weeks ago, I came across this gorgeous chair on Instagram off an account called The Apartment Life. I will link it down below. And I fell in love with the chair, and so that kind of became the inspiration for this month's cover page. I also have been, like many people, staring at different images on Pinterest, dreaming about my ideal office setup or desks, chairs, that kind of thing. And so for this cover page, I basically looked through a bunch of my Pinterest inspiration photos and kind of cherry-picked some of the things that I would love to have in my own office if I had the space for it and the funds for it. So it was kind of like dream decorating. In my imaginary office, I thought it would be fun to add in a loom and some yarn. And basically, I did this because prior to working on this video, I actually was doing a lot of weaving, and I really have fallen in love with the process of weaving, how long it takes, how meditative it is. It's just something that brings me a lot of joy, and I think during a time like this, it's important to really highlight those activities that you can do while you're indoors that bring you a lot of joy. So I really wanted that to come out in my cozy office space. Once again, I used mainly watercolor for this cover page, and I actually used some new paints that was gifted to me by my mom. Thanks, Mom. It's a Winsor Newton travel kit. And I actually took the little paints out of the kit because it was just easier for me to work off. As you can tell, I'm a bit of a I need everything around me kind of person. I don't really, like, this is real life. This is how I work. And yeah, I'm pretty messy, I guess, but it works for me. Although I will say, you can probably tell as this video goes on that I'm a little impatient, and when it comes to watercolor, I have a few things to work on for next time in terms of letting things dry before I work on them. It's kind of funny that this video is condensed down into however many minutes it is, because I want to be real with you. I spent days on this. It took me some time to sketch it out. I also had to wait in between layers to let things dry. I totally could have used a hair dryer, but I didn't. So you can tell as this video goes on that the lighting kind of changes from daylight to nighttime to daylight, because I was constantly kind of taking breaks and walking away and coming back. And I honestly don't know of how others approach these kinds of things, if they do them in one sitting or not, but not me. There's lots of opportunity for me to improve on my watercolor. I'm enjoying the journey, and I can kind of tell by already looking at my January cover page to now that I've improved and that's really all you can ask for, I think, when it comes to an art journey. So, story about this background. I originally had plans to make this really nice kind of orange kind of wallpaper on a white background, but in the bottom corner there, I smudged some of my watercolor because I was too impatient to let things dry, and I made that mistake. And as you know, you can't really erase watercolor, so I just decided to go with it, and I went for a really bold kind of teal blue color. I think eventually it was a little more turquoise. Yeah, so that was not part of the plan, but I think it worked out. Because of the amount of layering I did, it did kind of bleed into the next page, so there's definitely a limit to how much watercolor you can fit onto these pages, but that's okay. So for this rug, I felt like the space under the chair looked a little bare, so I decided to add in a rug, and I had a lot of fun with this. This style of rug is something that I agonized over and almost purchased so many times when we were picking out the rug in our own living room. And pretty much the only reason why I didn't end up going for it was just because we have a dog that sheds a lot, and I felt like it would be a bit of a nightmare to vacuum, so we ended up getting a flatter rug. But I've always really loved this kind of design, and so I decided to live out my dreams on this painting. I will say that doing those dots, that kind of dotted approach to make the rug look like it was a bit shaggy, came back to haunt me later, which you'll see. So for my monthly calendar, I continued on with my attempt to draw some kind of image that could also double up as a calendar, if that makes sense. So like in other months, I had done bookshelves that happened to also be a calendar. And so in this case, I thought it would be kind of cool to go with that sort of shaggy rug look that I had in the last one, except treat it as if it was a grid pattern. So this is where that sort of dotted approach with the paintbrush kind of came back to haunt me. Obviously you can't tell because of how quickly this part is sped up, but this took a really long time and I actually had to take a couple of breaks because my hand was kind of cramping. What do you think? Does it look like a rug? Let me know. Of course, I had to find ways to incorporate my gold watercolors. I absolutely love them, and every time you kind of turn the page and you see the shimmer, it's just so satisfying. Once again, I'm going with this layout for my habit and mood tracker. Each time I start planning out this kind of thing, I tell myself I'm going to experiment and be adventurous. But I just keep coming back to this layout because it works for me. It's easy to fill out. And honestly, by the time I get to this stage, I'm usually pretty tired. This month, since I won't be spending that much time outdoors, I actually added in yoga as a habit that I want to get back into because I've been meaning to do it for a while. Okay, so we need to talk about the next spread. I love the fact that stamping has come back in. I'm seeing a lot of different bullet journals making use of them, and it's great because I actually have all of these stamps that I had purchased for our wedding thank you cards, and I thought it'd be really fun to use this frame stamp for the quotes page. I was pleasantly surprised to see that the ink pad was still working, but I got careless and accidentally dropped it on the page. So that was not intentional, but I just had to go with it. If you made it this far, thank you. And now it's time for the final flip through. Thanks for watching.